بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأراضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف اللهم أخرجني من ظلمات الوهم وأكرمني بنور الفهم اللهم افتح علينا أبواب رحمتك وانشر علينا خزائن علومك برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. In the last session we talked about sincerity and in general about the role of intention. That when we have sincere intention, the chance of us understanding what is wise becomes more, and even sometimes maybe if you make mistake, still Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would help you to somehow get what you want by directing your affair, by directing your action back to the right track. Of course, sincerity is one requirement. Knowledge is important, consulting is important, collecting information is important, consulting is important, but one major aspect of hikmah, practical hikmah, is to make sure that we have proper intention. Today, inshallah, we want to talk about another aspect of practical wisdom, and that is adab. Adab in Islamic culture is very important. 4 or 5 years ago, in the month of Ramadan, I had some, I think, 10 sessions on adab, about courtesy and manners. Briefly, what I can say as introduction before we go into hadith is that it's not just important that you are sincere and even you are able to identify properly what is the problem and what is the solution. Even this is not enough, although reaching this point by itself is very difficult, that you are sincere and you are able to identify the problem and the solution. But success is not only dependent on this. Success very much depends on also manners, methods that you use in order to implement your plan, in order to act upon your plan. Manners are very important. Maybe, for example, you see there is, for example, leakage in your home, and you don't know where this is coming from. After carefully observing, after maybe bringing some, builders, plumber, you realize that it is coming from the house of neighbor. Okay, so you have identified the problem, and you know that the neighbor has to fix their, for example, bathroom. And your intention is not also bad. You want to protect your home. You are not demanding something illegal or immoral. But how are you going to approach your neighbor? Are you going to enter his home without his permission and fix it? Are you going to shout at him and say, look what you have done to me? Or you are respectfully in the right time, not in the middle of the night, not when the person is, for example, maybe tired, has just come back from work. No, in the right time, with the right manner, with politeness, to tell him that this is the case, and I have brought a builder, has said it's coming from your home, but please check, maybe he has made mistake. Please check if it is coming from your home. So then let me know how we should solve this problem. So manners are very important. Most of the time people, when they are approached with courtesy and good manners, they would be more cooperative. I'm not saying 100%. I'm saying they would be more cooperative most of the time if they are approached properly. If you don't approach them properly, most of the time they don't cooperate. There are exceptions. There are people that maybe you need to use another method with them. But even these people, first you have to try other methods, and if it fails, then you go for this. Inshallah, there is a hadith about this that we will talk about. So, manners of dealing with people, interacting with people, even after you understand what is the problem and what is the solution, are very important. You are a good teacher, you have knowledge, you have experience, but how are you to teach your students? Can you shout at them? Can you, scream at them? Or you are a good student, but how are you going to deal with the classmate, with the teacher? We have to be very, very careful. Sometimes in the mosque, some people make noise. This by itself, of course, is something which is not very good. It's not compatible with the etiquette of masjid. Just a few days ago, one of our Christian friends said that he was surprised that when the call for prayer was being made, so there was a beautiful recitation, but some people were talking. But then prayer started, everyone was silent. So someone explained that maybe they wanted to greet, the guests or whatever. So, but sometimes people don't understand why in our mosque or centers everyone is not listening. Some people are talking. Masjid has its own manner, etiquettes. But now, suppose some people are speaking, so they make mistake. That in the middle of program, they are speaking. But now, do you have the right that from member in front of everyone address them and say, why you are talking? This also, again, seems not to be polite and good. So sometimes a person is making a mistake, but also in dealing with mistakes, we have to be observing courtesy and manners. So there are many, many examples that we have to observe. So for those who came after we started, The point today is about adab, about manners and courtesy. And I said, after making sure that our intention is sincere, and after making sure that you have understood what is the problem, what's the solution, still, if you want to succeed, you need to observe certain manners and etiquettes. You cannot say, no, because I am right, I do what I want. I say what I want. Now let's go to some hadith from Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. As you will see, Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam very much highlighted the need for adab and also connected it to aql. So if someone says, why you are talking adab in the series on practical wisdom, because I think this is actually a very important part of practical wisdom, a rational approach. Again, I am reading for you this hadith from Muntakhabu Mizan al-Hikmah, a scale of wisdom. If you go to the section on adab, inshallah you will find all these hadiths that I am reading today. I am not reading all the hadiths there, but all the hadiths that I am reading are there. Okay? Al-adabu kamalur rajul. Adab, it's very difficult to translate adab into English for different reasons. So, but some people say courtesy, good manners, etiquettes, but it's a quality. If I say just etiquettes or good manners, it doesn't show. It's maybe courtesy or a special type of politeness, but it's not just politeness. Means you are a person who is very considerate. Yeah, very considerate. You take care of everything and everyone and do things in the best and nicest way. Yeah. For example, eating. Okay, one requirement is that it should be halal. One requirement that should be your own, for example, money. But then how are you going to eat? How much, where, which manners? These are all adab. In any case, Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam says, al-adabu kamalur rajul. Perfection of a person, a man, a woman, is based on adab. In another hadith, he said, al-adabu ahsanu sajiyatan. Adab is the best trait of character. Adab. I don't know if you have ever seen any person with good adab who is disliked. People who have good adab are liked by everyone. In a school, in university, in work, in community. Everyone loves people who have adab. In another hadith, Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam said, خَيْرُ مَا وَرَّثَ الْآبَاءُ الْأَبْنَاءَ الْأَدَبِ. The best thing that fathers, or maybe we can extend and say parents, can leave behind for their children, the best legacy is adab. If you leave lots of money behind, you leave house, car, farm behind, but your children are impolite, you have not done any good to them. In another hadith, Amirul Mu'minin alayhi salam said, إِنَّ النَّاسَ إلى صالح الأدب أحفج منهم إلى الفضة والذهب. People need right adab, right manners, more than they need gold and silver. Another hadith, حسن الأدب أفضل نسب وأشرف سبب. If you have good manners, if you have polite conduct, this is the best nasab. You know, it's better than saying, my father was this, my grandfather was that, you know. And also is the best sabab. For example, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, my sister-in-law, my brother-in-law, or, you know, anything that based on your genealogy, based on your family relation or social position, you want to add to your credit, is not as important as your own personal adab. Then there is a section here, al-adabu wal-aql. I only read some of the hadiths. Many hadiths I didn't read because I want to give you the major idea. But there is then a heading, al-adabu wal-aql. As I told you, it's part of rationality, part of wisdom. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Husnul adabe zinatul aql. Husnul adabe zinatul aql. Good manners is beautification of your intellect. So if you are very intelligent, you have high IQ, but you don't have good adab, you are not going to succeed. You are not going to be liked. And if you are really rational and wise, you would develop adab. Amir al-Mu'minin said something very moving. I want to see who is not moved after this. I will check your places to see. كل شيء يحتاج إلى العقل. كل شيء يحتاج إلى العقل. Everything needs aql. Means to do everything you need aql. Never underestimate aql. For everything you need aql. It's not just enough to know. It's not just enough to have power, to have skills. No. Always you need aql. But وَالْعَقْلُ يَحْتَاجُ إِلَى الْأَدَبِ. Aql needs adab. Okay. So everything needs aql. Aql needs adab. One of the things that I feel we are witnessing is that unfortunately adab is less, highlighted in our education, less talked about in our public and private platforms, and less exercised. It seems that in this age and era, unfortunately, adab is not a priority, especially in some type of education, modern education. In order to help people feel confident, feel free to express themselves, they have not emphasized on adab, as if adab is a problem, is a barrier, is an obstacle. But what we need is to encourage people to be free thinkers, but not liberal practitioners, not shameless activists. Adab is very important. A student, whether it's primary level, secondary, high school, university, even a PhD student must be polite with respect to his or her teachers, classmates, librarian, other people. Unfortunately, sometimes something has become a norm that people talk as they like. They talk to their teacher as they talk to their classmate. You know, when I went to Manchester for my PhD in 90s, I was surprised, you know, that people were dealing with a supervisor just like one of them. But and he was not minding that because this was part of the culture. But I never went into you know, kind of door before him. I always was waiting for him to go. I never, you know, addressed him with his first name. Maybe you can say this is cultural, but why our culture cannot be based on adab? I don't think anyone is going to lose by being respectful, by being polite. And these things may look little, but then you see the impact of this in the way people then deal with their parents, with the scholars, with the leadership. You know, if in your daily life shame has no place, adab has no place, and you just talk as you like, then this can come to your religious life also, to community life, to family life. There is no limit. It's not that you say, no, when it comes to my community, I am a different person. When you come to community, also you will be the same person. Even when you deal with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, maybe you will be the same person, shameless person. It's very difficult to partition your behavior. If with some people you don't observe haya, then little by little this goes to all corners of your life. So, I repeat this hadith. كل شيء يحتاج إلى العقل والعقل يحتاج إلى الأدب. Everything needs aql, intelligence or intellect. But aql itself needs adab. Yes.
Unfortunately, I think perhaps the more emphasis is given to sort of analytical thinking.
Yeah.
And criticize as much as you can and try to expose the flaws as much as possible in your teacher, in your lecturer, in so-and-so theory, so-and-so. And especially, I think if you notice platforms like Twitter, even the very well-known people, whenever they have, not every single time, but mostly, whenever they have dialogue, it's almost like a wrestling match. Everyone's trying to shut down the other as hard as possible.
Yeah.
They get more attention the harder they go.
Yeah.
And it's a very bad.
Yeah. It's like a duel. It's not nice exchange of ideas. It's like a battle. But Islamic manners are different, and something that I very much hope that Muslims observe is that you get the best aspects of every culture that you live. You live in the East, in the West, wherever you live in Africa, Europe, US, get the best. There are lots of good things in every culture, more or less. But keep your distinctive Islamic manners. They must say, this Muslim is the most polite person, most respectful person, the most punctual person, the most kind and considerate person. Get the good things, but not everything. Yeah? It's very important. I assure you, you would never lose if you have adab. Even with your enemies, you don't lose if you have adab. I mentioned this in Muharram, the hadith from Amir al-Mu'minin Salam about Battle of Siffin, that when the army of Muawiyah first blocked the water and didn't give access to water to the army of Imam Ali alayhi salam, Imam sent someone to talk, they didn't pay attention. Then Imam and his soldiers managed to gain control over water. Then some of the people in the army of Imam said, now it's our turn to block the water. And I say, these are people who have mentality of Muawiyah, but are in the army of Imam Ali. This is very important. So don't think because you are in the army of Ali, you think like Ali. And you behave like Ali. So, Imam said no. Even the sources say he didn't just give them water. He gave them access to water. Very important. We could say, okay, we give them this many liters of water. No. He made access for them also to water. You know, when you are in the middle of a battle, you just think about that battle. You don't think that after 14 centuries, how your Shia are going to be proud of that. Yeah? But Amir al-Mu'minin is a man of principles. He doesn't think about that battle only. He thinks in the large context that what people are going to think about us, what Allah is going to think about us in the first place. Yeah? Every battle is a small piece of a big, like paint. Okay? If you look always that everything is a small piece of a big thing, you become more careful. Anyway, he said, we give them access to water. Some people in the army of Imam were swearing at them. At whom? At Muawiyah and his people. Imam alayhi salam said, إني أكره لكم أن تكونوا سبابين. I don't like you to swear at them. Even if the other party is Muawiyah, who is here to kill us, who even doesn't give us water, you don't have right to be impolite. But you can describe what they have done. لو وصفتم حالهم وذكرتم أعمالهم لكان أسود في القول وأبلغ في العذر. Just tell what they have done without adding any rude and impolite words to it. Just objectively report what they have done. And then pray. Allahumma aslih baynana wa baynahum. Something in this, maybe a little bit change in the word. Allahumma ahqin dima'ana wa dima'ahum. Pray to Allah to protect our blood and their blood. Can you imagine? So if I say today Imam Ali was concerned about the blood of people in the army of Muawiyah, some people may not accept. But he is in the middle of the battle. Says, pray to Allah to bring reconciliation and protect our blood and their blood. This is adab. And adab can be measured in the times of difficulties. You know, if I am in a park and enjoying myself, I can be very polite. If I am driving and weather is good, and I'm, for example, enjoying my drive, I can be polite. But when I'm stuck in traffic, there is no AC, and someone is blocking the way, then that is where your adab can be tested. When you go home and you are tired and hungry, and your old father or mother-in-law says, something nonsense, that is where your adab can be tested. Pardon? Yes. So, adab should be there in the times of challenges, in times of difficulties, when there are turmoils. In the battle, when Amir al-Mu'minin battle has adab, with respect to someone like Muawiyah, this shows that there is possibility that you be always polite, always be respectful, always be a real gentleman. In another hadith, Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam said, al-adabu fil insan kashajaratin. Adab in human beings is like a tree. Guess what is the root of the tree? If adab is shajara, is a tree, what is the root? Asluha al-aql. The root of this tree of adab is aql. So now you agree that why I emphasize on adab in the course on practical wisdom. Okay? It's very much a matter of your wisdom and rationality. Imam Hassan alayhi salam said, La, yes.
Here it seems like the relationship is reciprocated between the two. Here the adab is like a tree with the root of it being apple.
Yeah.
And there it was apple in meat.
Yes. Even root without leaves cannot survive. If you cut the tree, the roots will also be corrupt. Imam Hassan alayhi salam said, La adaba liman la aqla lah. This is the other way of the equation. Who has no aql has no adab. Because adab needs aql. Adab is a matter of rationality. So, if you have rationality, you can have adab. If you have adab, you can be rational. Okay? La adaba liman la aqla lah. The one who doesn't have aql has no adab. Because adab needs careful and constant assessment. Careful and constant assessment. The one who has no aql has no adab. Then there is a heading about the need for disciplining yourself. You know, to make yourself, yes. Because after you identify this problem and solution, then you have to be constantly assessing what should I do now? What should I say now? How should I do this? You know, always you assess the situation. People who have no adab, they deal all people the same. People who have adab, they know that everything has manners. So now there is a heading about ta'adibun nafs. How to make yourself equipped with adab, how to train yourself. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, تَوَلَّوْا مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ تَأْدِيبَهَا وَعْدِلُوا بِهَا عَنْ ضَرَاوَةِ عَادَاتِهَا. تَوَلَّوْ means to be responsible, undertake the responsibility of training yourself, educating yourself, and take it away from bad habits. Bad habits are enemies of adab. For example, someone has a habit of sitting very relaxed, always at home, you know, sits in a very relaxed way. But then he goes to the office, he goes to masjid, he goes to the class, also he sits like that. This is not polite. You say, I am used to it. Okay, you have to change yourself. The way you know, for example, sit at home, when you are alone, the way you sit when your family are there, the way you sit when your visitors, guests are there, the way you sit in the public places are different. You cannot sit in the bus the way you sit, you know, in your car. Everything has to be according to the requirement of that moment, that context. Not just you say, I have this habit. In another hadith, this one is very famous. مُعَلِّمُ نَفْسِهِ وَمُؤَدِّبُهَا أَحَقُّ بِالْإِجْلَالِ مِنْ مُعَلِّمِ النَّاسِ وَمُؤَدِّبِهِمْ. You know, in Islam, we have great respect for teachers. Yeah, teachers are very highly regarded. Ulama, and then teachers, and then students. This is the hierarchy in Islam. Yeah. Alim, mu'allim, muta'allim. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself is alim and mu'allim. But the Prophet is alim, mu'allim, muta'allim. He is a learner also. So, mu'allim is very important. But Amirul Mu'minin says the one who is teaching himself or herself adab and educating himself or herself should be more respected than someone who is educating other people. You know, we think educating others is more difficult because they are independent and I don't have control over them. But the reality is that educating yourself is more difficult. Because there is weakness in our willpower, there is inertia inside, there is resistance, and most of the time we ignore that. We want to improve other people. Whenever there is problem, unfortunately, we think it's easier to fix the external problem than internal problem. If I have problem with someone, I try to change them. And if I cannot change them, I try to get rid of them. But why you don't change yourself? Okay? So, Amir al-Mu'minin says, مُعَلِّمُ نَفْسِهِ, the one who teaches himself or herself. وَمُؤَدِّبُهَا, not teaching theories. Ta'adib, to give yourself adab, educate yourself, discipline yourself, train yourself to be observing polite manners. Such person who is mu'allimu nafsihi wa mu'addibaha ahaqqu bil ijlal. He deserves more honoring min mu'allim al-nas wa mu'addibhim. Deserves more honoring than the person who teaches people and educates and trains people, doesn't look after himself. Like we have two people. They bring them, for example, to TV. They say, this person is very healthy. His body is fit, he's very healthy. This person is very weak, has lots of problems, just collapsing. But they say he has trained 100, sportsmen. Okay, if he himself is collapsing, what's the benefit? Two people, one of them has trained 100 people, but he himself has no akhlaq. Another person has good akhlaq, but has not had chance to teach people. And I'm sure a person who has good akhlaq automatically teach other people. We have this saying from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam that it says, invite people with silence. Okay? You can, without talking to people, invite them, do tabligh. Without using your tongue, you can invite people. Of course, if you have such character that is compatible with what you say, if you speak, it would also add to the power. But the main thing is that a good person, even if he is silent, other people will be inspired. But a person who has no good character, even if he speaks lots of hours, would have no impact unless people don't know him. Sometimes people don't know someone and very much enjoy his lectures. And it has impact on them. It's possible. But as soon as they know the character of that person, may not listen to that person. But if someone has good character, automatically has impact on other people. And if he speaks, has more impact. Then there is another heading. What are the mabadi, origins for adab? The roots, the sources of adab. There is a hadith in Tuhaf al-Uqul that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to Isa alayhi salam, to Jesus, أدب قلبك بالخشية. Train and educate your heart with awe, with positive fear. Khashya is very much needed. Khashya makes you soft and considerate. When Allah said to Musa and Harun, go and speak to Fir'aun, لَعَلَّهُ يَتَذَكَّرُ أَوْ يَخْشَى. خشية. إنما يخشى الله من عباده العلماء. Ulama have khashya. Uqala have khashya. Isa alayhi salam was asked, Man addabaka? Who was your educator? Who trained you? Who gave you good adab? According to this hadith, Isa alayhi salam said, we have something similar about Luqman Hakim. Ma addabani ahadun. I didn't have a particular teacher. Ra'aytu qubha al-jahl fajanabtuhu. I saw ugliness of ignorance, so avoided it. You know, about Luqman, we say that he said, I look at what bad people do and I try to do the opposite. So, if you are careful, even from bad people, you can learn. If you are careless, even from good people, you don't learn. Yeah? Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam said, Jalis al-ulama. Sit with ulama. It's a beautiful expression that we have. Sit with ulama. Not just listen to ulama. Try to socialize with ulama. Spend time with ulama. Sit with them. Yazdad ilmuk. Your knowledge will increase. Yeah? Ulama, even if they are speaking outside class or member, they would say something to increase your knowledge. Vayahsun adabuk. Your adab also will become better, will improve. Watazku nafsuk. And your nafs becomes purer. There is a great power in friendship and in being in company of good people. Or if you are in company of bad people, there is negative power. In another hadith, Amir al-Mu'minin salam said, إِذَا زَادَ عِلْمُ الرَّجُلِ زَادَ أَدَبُهُ. When knowledge of someone increases, his adab also would increase. So in Hose, in addition to papers on subjects, year by year we should also see adab of the students. First year students have very good adab, much more than people outside. But second year students, more polite. Third year, more polite. Fourth year, more polite. Like humbleness. If you remember in one of the opening ceremonies, I said, every person who goes higher must become more humble and more polite. But sometimes, unfortunately, it's the opposite. In the first year, everyone is very polite and shy. But little by little, they start, unfortunately. But inshallah, this is not our case. إذا زاد علم الرجل زاد أدبه وتضاعفت خشيته لربه. And his positive fear towards his Lord would be multiplied, would develop more
Positive.
Ow. Yes.
Positive.
Yes, positive. Yes. Like ow. Then we have a heading about what is interpretation of adab. Amir al-Mu'minin said, "Kafaka adaban linafsik ijtinabu ma takrahuhu min ghayrik." It is sufficient for you to understand how to educate yourself. It's sufficient if you see what you don't like from other people. Yeah, if you avoid what you don't like, then you become little by little a person with good adab. See who is, for example, not a good student, not a good teacher, not a good speaker, not a good, I don't know, driver, not a good, for example, customer, a good shopkeeper. See these negativities in people and try to avoid them. See good things in people and try to imitate them, to follow. Pardon? If someone has bad characteristics,
Do you avoid the person or just the character?
you avoid the character, the characteristics, but if it is impossible, then sometimes you may need to avoid the person if possible. Because some people, we cannot avoid them. For example, I have a close relative that doesn't have good character. I cannot avoid him. I try to immunize myself, to protect myself so that I am not affected. But generally speaking, we don't boycott people, don't disconnect from people just because they have some bad traits of character, unless it becomes not manageable. And that relation is not that necessary, then we calculate and the balance may go in the favor of disconnecting. I cannot give one answer because there are lots of particularities. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said, "Addabani abi bithalathin." My father, Imam Baqir, educated me, trained me with three things. This was part of the education and training for Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Qala li, what Imam Baqir said is this. Of course, you know, in such hadith, when Imam says three things, it doesn't mean it was not four or five, you know. He mentions here three things. Ya bunayya, my little son or my dear son, man yashab sahib as-su' la yaslum. This is just about what we are discussing. Someone who is accompanying bad friends would not be safe. If you have friendship, it means you spend lots of hours with someone. Then little by little bad things from that person will be transferred to you. So one thing that Imam Baqir taught Imam Sadiq was to be careful about your friends. وَمَنْ لَا يُقَيِّدْ أَلْفَاظَهُ يَنْدَمْ. Very beautiful. The one who doesn't chain up his words, means doesn't control and watch carefully his words, would regret. A great source of regret is always our own speech. our own words. We say something, then when the pressure is gone, when the tiredness is gone or the anger is gone, you see, oh, it was much better if I had not said this. Therefore, it's very important that you take your time and don't rush in speaking. Especially if you feel you are hurt, if you feel you are wrong, don't immediately, speak. Most of the time, it's better to be silent. Because in that moment, you may not have full control over what you say. You may be oppressed, then you become oppressor. Or you may be oppressed, then you damage your own case. Number 3, وَمَنْ يَدْخُلْ مَدَاخِلَ السُّوءِ يُتَّهَمْ. The third thing that Imam Baqir said to Imam Sadiq was that whoever enters bad entries, means he gets into suspicious, problematic things, like going to bad places, meeting bad people, reading bad stuff, watching bad stuff. Anyway, you go into bad things. Yuttaham. Even if you don't become bad, you would be accused. People would accuse you. So, in order to protect yourself, and in order to avoid people accusing you, keep away from bad things and bad people. Be careful, be cautious. Don't let people associate you with bad things. Don't give them this image. And say, no, Allah knows that I am not doing anything bad. Okay, but you have to be careful about your reputation. اتقوا مواضع التهم. Have you heard this? اتقوا مواضع التهم. Tuham is plural for tuhma. Avoid places of false accusation. Means avoid places that you might be falsely accused. Said one of ulama used to say that's akhlaq and read this hadith. اتقوا مواضع التهم أي طلب تهم. Tuham in Farsi means you too. Okay? So Toham, the first one means Tohma, but the second is Toham means you too. So don't say because I have imama, people are not going to accuse me. People start accusing those who have imama first. Unfortunately, some people are not careful. They don't say, no, this alim, inshallah is careful, or I am going to be more careful when I'm talking about ulama. Some people, get more excited to attack ulama. Unfortunately. So if they can attack one normal person, one alim, they first attack alim. This is unfortunately the way some propaganda machine works. So 3 things that Imam Baqir taught Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. Man yashab sahib as-su la yaslum. So this is about avoiding bad friendship, bad companion. Number 2, man la yuqayyid alfadahu yandam, the one who doesn't change, doesn't control his words with regret. Number 3, wa man yadkhul madakhil as-su yuttaham, the one who enters bad entries, means enters into bad places or bad meetings, would be accused. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, Afdalul adab أن يقف الإنسان عند حده ولا يتعد قدره. The best adab, the most privileged adab is that a person knows his limits and would not go beyond his limits. What is your limit? For example, you want to do tabligh. Okay, how much knowledge you have? I told you, I think, once that after I studied 1 year in the Hose in Qom, because I had studied in Tehran parallel to my higher school. So when I went to Qom, I started from second year. So when I finished second year, then my head of the Hose said, you should go for tabligh. I said, I've only been in Qom 1 year. Although I had studied in Tehran parallel, but maximum it becomes 2 years. He said, you must go to tabligh, but know your limits. Go to a school in a village. So we don't say to people, don't speak, but know your limits. So you must see how qualified you are, what topics you can address, what audience you can address. And the best thing in our tradition for such things is to ask your teachers who know you. Because this permission is not only a matter of adab, it's also a kind of blessing. And I really believe that we receive blessing when we get permission from a spiritual person. When a marja, an alim, or teacher tells us, you can do this or you should do this, this is very much useful for you. This blessing is very important. It's not just formality. It means that somehow you occur in the chain of knowledge. Because your knowledge comes from your teacher. Your teacher's knowledge comes from his teachers, and finally from Marajib, from Ahlul Bayt. So if you act according to the instruction of your teacher, then that blessing comes to you. If you get knowledge from your teacher and then ignore your teacher later, what happens? There would be no barakah in your knowledge. You are like a thief. You get what you like, but then ignore the source. This is the thief. The one who is not thief is always remaining grateful. It's very important. If you want success, if you want tawfiq, remember we talked about tawfiq in akhlaq. Respect the chain, respect the hierarchy. This is not political hierarchy. This is not worldly hierarchy. This is a hierarchy of knowledge. This is a hierarchy of light. This is the ladder of knowledge and light. Pardon?
It's like respecting the parents.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And your teacher, as we said, is more to be respected more than your parents, because this is parents of your soul. Of course, sometimes parents can be also your teachers, but if someone is just has given birth to you and someone has given knowledge to you. In another hadith, Amir al-Mu'minin alayhi salam said, ضبط النفس عند الرغب والرهب من أفضل الأدب. You know, we read many hadiths because our time is short, but each of these hadiths is a treasure. Don't just listen once. You have to go back and review these hadiths. Dhabtul nafs, to control yourself in two important moments. In the raghab wa rahab. When you are eager and when you are fearful. It means when you are very excited to do something or to have something, or when you are afraid of doing something. Because these are two times that we can make mistakes more than any other time. When you are very excited about doing or having something, your emotions can get on your way and block your understanding. Or when you are fearful. This fear can stop your understanding, doesn't let you function properly. So this control is min afdal al-adab. Then we have some hadith about the need for educating your family and children and train them and let them develop adab. Don't only think about their academic studies. Unfortunately, some parents only are concerned about the academic education, secular education. Even don't just think about academic education and religious education. Think about also adab, character education. Even someone if has learned aqaid, fiqh, akhlaq in theory, but does not have adab is not enough. Akramu awladakum. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, Akramu awladakum wa ahsinu adabahum yughfar lakum. Honor your children. If parents respect their children, not spoiling them, they're not talking about spoiling their children, but respect your children, then in future they will not feel void and empty. If parents give love and respect to children, this remains always as a treasure for them, as a reserve for them. Okay? Akramu awladakum wa ahsinu adabahum, but also make them good in their manners. Train them to be polite and with good manners. If you do this, yughfar lakum, your sins will be forgiven. The reward for trying to educate your children in this way is that your sins will be, inshallah, forgiven. And I am sure many people also would pray for you. When they see your children have good akhlaq, good manners, they say, may Allah's mercy be upon his father or mother who has developed such good manners in him or her. Amir al-Mu'minin salam said to Imam Hassan, إنما قلب الحدث كالأرض الخالية. The heart of children, young people, is like empty land. ما ألقي فيها من شيء قبلته. If there is a fertile land which is not yet planted, whatever you put in that fertile soil it will accept. Children, when they are still very young, are like fertile soil. Whatever you drop there, they will accept. فَبَادَرْتُكَ بِالْأَدَابِ. Amir al-Mu'minin says, so what I did, I started soon teaching you adab. He's saying to Imam Hassan, قبل أن يقسو قلبك ويشتغل لبك. Before your heart becomes hard. Because relatively, a mature person's heart is harder than a child. Child is very soft. Teenagers become a little hard. Then when you grow up, harder. Yeah? Unless you keep your heart always young. Some people always have a child heart. Yeah? Very soft. But normally, by passage of time, you lose that softness that you have when you are a very young child. So Amir al-Mu'minin says, before your heart becomes hard, and before your minds become busy and preoccupied, badartuka bil-adab. Mubadara means to take the initiative. Means I started quickly to teach you adab, to train you with good manners. So this is a very important thing to teach kids. Adab. In madrasa, we should have adab. Yes. Yes, unfortunately, yes. And this is very much worrying, and we should have our own measures, maybe supplements, maybe alternatives. Imam Raza alayhi salam said something which is very beautiful, and I mentioned this when I talk about education also. One of the things which is very good for education of children is not only to teach them about significance of charity, but also to make them involved in charity activities, charitable actions. It's very good. For example, you can say, to bring money, but this is not good enough. It's good, but not good enough. But if you can involve them, for example, they themselves give to the poor people, or they do something with their hand, packing, making something, distributing food, so that they are involved in that. This is part of ta'deeb. Imam Raza alayhi salam said, Mur as-sabiyyah falyatasaddaq. Ask the child to give sadaqah with his hand. Bil kisrati wal qabdah. Even if it is a little bread, even if it is a handhold of something, might be very little, but if the child gives with his own hand, it's very important. فَإِنَّ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ يُرَادُ بِهِ اللَّهُ وَإِنْ قَلَّ بَعْدَ أَنْ تَصْدُقَ النِّيَّةُ فِيهِ عَظِيمٌ. Everything in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is thought, you are seeking Allah's pleasure, and niyyah is sincere, that thing, even if it is little, becomes great. Don't say it's a piece of bread. If it is done for the sake of Allah, that's great. So you must try to involve children in charity activities. This is part of their ta'deeb, part of their training. Then we have some headings that I avoid because time is short. I go a little further about التأدب بآداب الله, to acquire the manners that are godly. Imam Ali alayhi salam said, من تأدب بآداب الله عز وجل أداه إلى الفلاح الدائم. Whoever acquires godly manners, the things that Allah is pleased with, the things that Allah is pleased with them, then this would lead him to falah ad-da'im, permanent success. Another hadith is Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam said, this is in dua that we have, Ilahi la tu'addibni bi'uqubatik wa la tamkur bi fi hilatik min ayna li al-khayru ya Rab wa la yujadu illa min 'indik. We say to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please don't educate me with your punishment. Because in the end of the day, everyone will get good adab. But you can get it sorted out in dunya or in barzakh or on the day of judgment. Otherwise, there is a place that all people with bad akhlaq will be sorted out. And that is called hell. That's a place for purification and transformation. But that's too late. So, Imam alayhi salam says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, La tu'addibni bi'uqubatik. Please educate me, but not with your uquba. Means don't let my affairs reach the point that only your punishment, only calamities of dunya or akhirah will make me a good person, a humble person, a nice person. وَلَا تَمْكُرْ بِي فِي حِيلَتِكَ. Please don't make plans against me. If we don't act properly and instead we make plans against people, against truth, against party of haqq, then a counter plan would come and damage us. So we need to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to educate us, but not with pain, not with suffering, not with punishment. I would like to end with one hadith that I said at the beginning. We will talk about it later. That there are some people, these are not majority, that they need another way of dealing. Amir al-Mu'minin salam says, استصلاح الأخيار بإكرام والأشرار بتأديبه. Those who are honorable people, righteous people, nice people, good people, if they have mistakes and you want to correct them, improve them, what should you do? You should ikram. You should do ikram. You should honor them. You have a student, you have a child, you have a family member, you have a neighbor, you have a client, you have a boss or employee. Nice person. There is something you are not happy with more respect, with adab, that person can be corrected and improved. But if someone is one of ashrar, one of the vicious people, then in order to improve them, you need to discipline them, ta'deeb. Unfortunately, people sometimes try to improve all people with force and with harsh behavior. No, this is only for ashrar. This is for the people that you have tried many times to be respectful to them, to be nice to them, to honor them, and they don't stop. Then a time comes that you have to be harsh. But most of people are not like this. Even those people, you have to try many times. Not that from the beginning say, no, when I looked at this person, I know that this person only needs force, or this person, you have to insult him so that he listens to you. No, these are exceptional cases, and you have to also few times try. But this hadith shows that unfortunately, rarely you come across such people. That if you act humbly and morally, they take advantage and they don't stop or even become worse. But this is rare. Okay, conclusion. One important aspect of wisdom is that in addition to everything that you do for having good intention and to identify problems properly and identify solutions properly, make plans properly, one important aspect in addition to all this is to observe courtesy, good manners, be as respectful as possible, as polite as possible. Give everything its due right and attention. Give everyone his or her due respect as much as possible. Avoid rushing in saying or doing something when you are angry or when you are very excited. If you are very excited or very much frightened, then don't say anything. Rabtun nafs. Control yourself. Watch yourself. Wait. Take your time. For dealing with people that you disagree or with the people that you agree, you need to observe manners. Don't promote too much and with every means people that you like. And don't attack people that you don't like in every immoral or irresponsible or indiscriminate way. Adab is maybe for some people a kind of limitation and restriction, because you are not able to say everything and to do everything and go everywhere. So some people may look at it as restriction. But indeed, it is the only way to be able to move for a long journey. If you are not a person who is familiar with railway, say, why I should only go between these two rail lines? I want to go sometimes, this way, that way, I want to enjoy myself, go next to the rear. Okay, if you go a little bit away from this right track, then you cannot continue. You can enjoy for a few minutes, few hours, few days, but you cannot continue. If you want to go forward and no one stop you, find the right track. It looks like restriction, but indeed it's empowerment. I am sure outside the track, you cannot go that far and that fast. And you would have lots of casualties. People will be killed, people will be injured, people will not reach their destination. You are wasting their talents if you don't observe the track, which is set up by wisdom and is dealt with adab. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to include us among the people that He has helped them with their ta'deeb. Addabani Rabbi fa'ahsana ta'deebi. We ask Allah to undertake our education, our training, and help us to get rid of any bad traits of character and any bad manners. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.